The scream that came out of my daughter's mouth when I tried to lift her from the car seat is a sound I will never forget as long as I live. It was not a cry. It was not a whimper. It was a raw, animal shriek of terror, and it came from a 4-year-old girl who, just 3 days earlier, had been the happiest, most sunshine-filled child you could ever imagine. My name is Megan, and I need to tell you what happened to my baby girl. I need to tell you because keeping it inside is destroying me, and because maybe, just maybe, someone listening to this will recognize the signs I missed. The signs we all missed. Let me take you back to the beginning. I was 18 years old when I found out I was pregnant. 18. Still practically a kid myself. My boyfriend at the time, Tyler, was 19. We were young, naive, hopelessly in love the way only teenagers can be, and completely unprepared for what was about to hit us. When I told my parents, my mother cried for 2 days straight. My father did not speak to me for a week. Tyler's parents were not much better. But despite the shock, despite the fear, despite every statistic screaming that teenage parents were destined to fail, Tyler and I decided to have the baby. Our daughter, Lily, was born on a Tuesday morning in April. She was tiny and pink and perfect, with a dusting of blonde fuzz on her head and the tiniest fingers I had ever seen. I remember holding her for the first time and feeling something shift inside me, a tectonic realignment of every priority I had ever had. Nothing else mattered. Not school, not money, not my parents' disappointment. Just this impossibly small person who depended on me for everything. A month after Lily was born, we received the diagnosis. Down syndrome. The doctor sat us down in a small, sterile room with fluorescent lights that buzzed overhead, and he explained what it meant for our daughter's development, her health, her future. Tyler held my hand so tightly I thought my fingers would break. I do not think either of us heard a word after Down syndrome. The room just went silent, like someone had hit the mute button on reality. But here's the thing about Lily. She did not care about diagnoses or statistics or the worried looks on the doctors' faces. She just lived. She laughed and babbled and reached for things with those tiny, determined hands. She hit milestones slower than other kids, sure, but she hit them. Every new word, every new skill, every small victory felt like winning the lottery. Her medical team was incredible, working with us on speech therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy. We poured everything we had into giving her the best possible chance. Tyler and I, we did not make it as a couple. We split up when Lily was about 2, but it was mutual and amicable. There was no screaming, no door slamming, no bitter custody battles. We just looked at each other one day and acknowledged what we had both been feeling, that we were better as co-parents than as partners. We sat down like adults and worked out a schedule. Tyler had Lily from Friday afternoon to Monday morning. I had her the rest of the week. It worked perfectly with my university classes and my weekend job, and it gave Tyler the weekday time he needed for his full-time position. I want to be very clear about something, because it matters for what comes next. Tyler was an exceptional father. He adored Lily with every fiber of his being. He never missed a therapy appointment. He never complained about the schedule. He learned sign language with her when her speech was developing slowly. He built a sensory corner in his apartment with soft lights and textured toys because he read that it would help her self-regulate. This was not a deadbeat dad or an absent parent. This was a man who would have walked through fire for his daughter. So when he started dating Miranda about 4 months ago, I tried to be supportive. I really did. Miranda was 19, which made me a little uneasy. Not because of the age gap with Tyler, but because she seemed young, mentally young. The kind of young where you are still figuring out who you are and what you want, and the last thing you need is the responsibility of a special needs child in your life. The first time I met Miranda was at a coffee shop near Tyler's apartment. He had arranged for us to meet, which I appreciated. He wanted my blessing, or at least my tolerance, before bringing her around Lily on a regular basis. She was sitting at a corner table when I arrived, a petite girl with dark hair and nervous eyes, stirring a latte she had not yet taken a sip of. She stood up when she saw me and extended her hand with a smile that seemed rehearsed, like she had practiced it in the mirror that morning. We made small talk for about 45 minutes. She told me she worked part-time at a retail store and was thinking about going back to school. She asked about Lily, and her questions were polite but vague, the kind of questions someone asks when they do not really understand what they are asking about. When I explained Lily's routines, her therapy schedule, her sensory needs, Her communication methods. Miranda nodded along with a slightly glazed expression. I remember thinking, she does not get it. She is too young and too inexperienced to understand what she is signing up for. But I also reminded myself that I was not Tyler's girlfriend anymore. I was his co-parent. His romantic life was his business, as long as it did not negatively affect our daughter. And so I smiled, shook Miranda's hand again, and told Tyler afterward that she seemed nice enough. Tyler introduced Miranda to Lily earlier than I would have liked. I told him I was uncomfortable with it. Lily does not handle change well. It took her months just to adjust to having two different homes, and now there was a new person in one of those homes, someone unfamiliar, someone who did not know her routines or her triggers or the specific way you have to approach her when she is overwhelmed. Tyler assured me it was fine. He said Miranda was only around for part of the weekend, that Lily seemed to be adjusting, that everything was under control. I decided to pick my battles. I had already learned, through years of co-parenting, that you cannot control what happens in the other parent's house. You have to trust. You have to let go. You have to believe that the person you chose to have a child with will make good decisions when you are not watching. I regret that trust more than anything I have ever done in my life. Over the following weeks, Miranda's presence in Tyler's apartment increased. She went from visiting on Saturday afternoons to spending the entire weekend there. Tyler did not tell me this directly. I pieced it together from things Lily said, or tried to say, in her own limited way. Lily started mentioning Miranda's name more often. She drew pictures of 3 people in a house. She seemed to accept Miranda, maybe even enjoy her company, and I took that as a good sign. I let my guard down. Last Friday, I dropped Lily off at Tyler's apartment for the weekend. She was bouncing off the walls with excitement. She had made a card for Tyler at her daycare, a messy explosion of glitter and crayon that she clutched in both hands like it was the most precious thing in the world. She hugged me goodbye and practically ran to the door. I watched Tyler scoop her up, and I drove away feeling, for the first time in months, genuinely at peace with the arrangement. Tyler texted me a photo that evening. Lily sitting on the couch with a bowl of popcorn, watching a movie, a blanket draped over her legs. She looked content, happy even. I saved the photo and felt the last remnants of my anxiety dissolve. Everything is fine, I told myself. You are overthinking this. Let it go. I spent the weekend working and getting organized for the start of my new university semester. I cleaned the apartment, went grocery shopping, meal prepped for the week, tried to get ahead on some reading for my classes. Normal stuff. Boring stuff. The kind of stuff that fills up a weekend when your child is with her other parent and the apartment feels too quiet without her. Monday morning, I drove to Tyler's apartment to pick Lily up. She had a doctor's appointment that afternoon, just a routine checkup, nothing special. I knocked on the door, Tyler opened it, and the world stopped. My daughter was bald. Not bald like her hair was thinning. Not bald like she had a bad haircut. Bald. Completely, utterly, smooth scalp bald. My daughter who had the most beautiful long blonde hair, silky and fine, the kind of hair that caught the light and turned gold in the sunshine. My daughter whose hair I had braided every morning since she was 2. My daughter who loved having her hair brushed, who would sit in my lap and close her eyes and hum while I ran the comb through those soft, shining strands. Gone. All of it. I stared at her. I stared at Tyler. My brain could not process what my eyes were seeing. It was like looking at a word in a language you do not speak. Your brain reaches for meaning and comes back empty. Tyler spoke first. He said Lily had gotten into the scissors while they were doing crafts. She had hacked at her own hair. Miranda, he said, thought it would be best to just shave the rest off so it would grow back evenly. I stood in that doorway, and I believed him. I want you to understand that. I believed him. Because why would I not? Tyler had never lied to me about anything involving our daughter. He had never given me a reason to doubt him. And kids do get into things. Scissors are a hazard. It was plausible. Unlikely, given that Lily's motor skills would have made it difficult for her to use scissors that way, but plausible enough that my shocked brain grabbed onto the explanation like a life raft. I took Lily to the car. I buckled her into her car seat. And that is when I noticed the first thing that was truly wrong. She was silent. My daughter, who normally danced in her car seat and hummed along to the radio and babbled happily about everything and nothing, sat perfectly still and stared straight ahead with an expression that was not sadness or tiredness or anything I recognized. It was blankness, emptiness, like someone had reached inside her and switched off the light. I tried to talk to her. "Hey, baby girl, how was your weekend? Did you have fun with Daddy?" Nothing. Not a word. Not a gesture. Not even a flicker of recognition in her eyes. She just sat there, still as a statue, staring at the back of the seat in front of her. I told myself she was tired. Kids get tired. It was Monday morning. She probably had a busy weekend and was just worn out. I turned on her favorite music, the silly children's songs she normally bounced and clapped along to, and she did not react at all. Not a twitch. Not a blink. The music played to an empty audience. We arrived at the doctor's office. I walked around to the passenger side and opened the back door to unbuckle Lily from her car seat. I reached for her, the way I had done 1,000 times before, slipping my hands under her arms to lift her out. And the moment my hand touched her side, she screamed. That scream, I cannot describe it adequately with words. It was not a normal child's cry of surprise or discomfort. It was primal, guttural. Her face went from blank to contorted in an instant, red and twisted, her mouth open wider than I thought possible, and the sound that came out was something I associate with pain. Not mild pain, not bump your elbow pain. The kind of pain that comes from deep inside, from a place that should never be touched. I pulled my hands back like I had been burned. My heart was hammering so hard I could hear my own pulse. I crouched down to her level and tried to use the speech therapy techniques we had been working on, the picture cards, the simple signing, the gentle prompts designed to help her communicate what she was feeling. She gave me nothing. She just screamed and pushed at me with her small hands, her face twisted in an expression that looked less like fear and more like fury. I managed, somehow, to get her into the doctor's office. It took 15 minutes of gentle coaxing, of backing off and trying again, of fighting every maternal instinct that was screaming at me to scoop her up and hold her tight. When we finally made it into the examination room and the doctor began her assessment, what she found shattered my world into pieces. There was a bruise on Lily's side. A large, dark bruise that could not have come from a fall or a bump against furniture. The shape was wrong, the placement was wrong, and on her upper thigh, there was a bite mark. A human bite mark. Clear and unmistakable, the crescent of teeth pressed into my daughter's skin like a brand. I do not remember much of what happened in the next few minutes. I know the doctor was talking to me. I know she was saying words like report and documentation and photographs. I know there were forms and phone calls and people coming in and out of the room. But I could not hear any of it over the roaring in my ears, the sound of my own world collapsing. I called my mother. My hands were shaking so badly that it took me 3 tries to unlock my phone. When she answered and heard my voice, she knew immediately that something was catastrophically wrong. She said she was on her way. She said she was bringing my father. She said everything would be okay. I do not think any of us believed that last part. My father drove my car to Tyler's workplace. My mother took me and Lily home. Dad was ready to commit violence, and I honestly do not know what would have happened if Tyler had been anything less than completely cooperative. But when my father confronted him, Tyler's reaction was not what any of us expected. He had no idea. Tyler stood there in the parking lot of his workplace, my father in his face, and the color drained from his skin like water running out of a bathtub. He did not get defensive. He did not make excuses. He did not try to minimize or deflect. He just went white, and then he started shaking. And then he said the words that confirmed what my gut had been screaming since the moment I saw my daughter's bald head. It had to have been Miranda. He told my father that he had left Lily alone with Miranda for a few hours over the weekend while he ran to a job site. He said he had not thought anything of it. Miranda and Lily had seemed to get along fine. There were no red flags that he had noticed, or at least none that he had recognized in the moment. He admitted, his voice breaking, that Lily had seemed a little withdrawn when he got back, pulling away from physical contact, quieter than usual, but he had written it off as an off day. Everyone has off days, even 4-year-olds. We had a family meeting that evening. All of us, my parents, Tyler, sitting around the kitchen table while Lily slept in the next room. My mother, who is the most level-headed person I have ever known, laid out the facts calmly and clearly. Lily could not have done those things to herself. Either Tyler had hurt her, Miranda had hurt her, or someone else who had been in that apartment had hurt her. There were no other options. Tyler sat in silence for what felt like an eternity. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. He said he would go to Miranda, break up with her, and press charges. My father told him to do it over the phone, to cut all contact immediately, to not give her any opportunity to manipulate him or talk her way out of it. But Tyler was already standing up, already reaching for his keys. I think he needed to look her in the eye. I think he needed to see her reaction to know the truth for himself. He was gone for about 2 hours. My mother made tea that nobody drank. My father paced back and forth in the kitchen, his phone in his hand, ready to call the police if Tyler was not back by a certain time. I sat on the floor next to the room where Lily was sleeping, my back against the wall, listening to the soft sound of her breathing through the door. I tried to pray, but the words would not come. I tried to think logically about next steps, but my thoughts kept short-circuiting, looping back to the same horrible images. The bruise, the bite mark, my daughter's blank, empty face. When Tyler came back, he looked calmer than I expected. He said Miranda denied everything. She said we were making it up, that this was a ploy to get Tyler back together with me, that I was jealous and manipulative, and that she had never touched Lily. She called me names that Tyler refused to repeat. Then he walked out. We were all having dinner on the living room floor, trying to create some sense of normalcy for Lily, when Tyler's phone started buzzing. Message after message, one after another, so fast that the phone was vibrating almost continuously against the carpet. He did not even get a chance to open them before the call started. Unknown numbers, one right after another. He knew it was Miranda. He rejected every call. Then my phone started ringing. Same thing. Unknown numbers, rapid-fire calls, one ending and the next beginning within seconds. Tyler answered one of the calls on my phone, and I could hear Miranda's voice from across the room. High-pitched, frantic, venomous. She was making threats. Disgusting, specific threats about me and about Lily. Tyler's face went gray. He hung up and told my father to call the police. Then we heard the banging. Someone was outside, throwing things at the house. Eggs and rocks, smashing against the windows and the front door with a rhythm that sounded almost methodical. The calls kept coming on both our phones. We turned them off. My mother scooped up Lily and carried her to the back bedroom, closing the door behind them, turning on music to drown out the noise. My father was on the phone with the police. Tyler was at the window, looking out through the curtain with an expression I had never seen on his face before. It was the expression of a man watching the consequences of his own terrible judgment play out in real time. I was sitting against the hallway wall, my knees pulled up to my chest, my hands pressed flat over my ears. I could hear Lily's music playing in the back bedroom, some cheerful tune about farm animals that felt grotesquely out of place in the middle of what was happening. I could hear my father's calm, authoritative voice on the phone with the emergency dispatcher. I could hear the dull thud of rocks hitting the siding and the wet splatter of eggs against glass. And beneath all of it, I could hear my own heartbeat, steady and relentless, reminding me that I was still alive, that this was real, that this was happening. They drove off eventually. A car, 2 people inside, tearing away from the curb with a screech of tires. The police arrived a few minutes later. We gave statements. A child specialist spoke with us and with Lily, using dolls and pictures and gentle questions to try to understand what had happened during those hours when Miranda was alone with her. I cannot go into the legal details right now. Everything is still too fresh, too raw, too much in motion. But I can tell you this. Miranda was arrested on Friday, not just for what she did to my daughter, but for the threats, the vandalism, and because the police picked her up outside a nightclub for public indecency. Our attorney is handling everything from here. In the weeks that followed, Lily started therapy, a wonderful child psychologist who specializes in working with children who have developmental differences. The progress has been slow, agonizingly slow. There are days when Lily seems almost like her old self, babbling and dancing and reaching for hugs. And there are days when she flinches at sudden movements and goes quiet and stares at walls with that blank expression that haunts my nightmares. Her hair is growing back, soft and fuzzy, like the peach fuzz she had when she was a newborn. I run my hand over it gently every night when I put her to bed, and I whisper to her that she is safe, that nobody will ever hurt her again, that mommy is here and mommy is not going anywhere. Tyler is broken. There is no other word for it. He has not forgiven himself, and I am not sure when or if he will. He blames himself for leaving Lily alone with Miranda. He blames himself for not seeing the signs. He blames himself for bringing Miranda into their lives in the first place. He stays at my parents' house on the weekends now. sleeping in the guest room, so he can be near Lily without taking her back to the apartment where it happened. He barely speaks. He barely eats. He moves through the days like a ghost of the vibrant, devoted father he used to be. People keep telling me that Tyler and I should get back together. My mother's friends, neighbors, even strangers on the internet who have heard bits and pieces of our story. They say that shared trauma brings people together, that Lily needs both her parents under one roof, that we clearly still care about each other. And yes, we do still care about each other. But caring about someone and being in a relationship with them are two different things. Tyler and I were never right as partners, and that has not changed. What has changed is that we now have something much deeper than romance binding us together. We have a shared wound, a shared responsibility, and a shared commitment to making sure our daughter's life is not defined by what was done to her. I watched Tyler the other night, sitting cross-legged on the living room floor, helping Lily stack foam blocks. She was cautious at first, watching his hands carefully, making sure he was not going to reach for her suddenly. But after a few minutes, she relaxed. She started laughing. She knocked the tower over and shrieked with delight, and Tyler laughed too, a real laugh, the first one I had heard from him in weeks. In that moment, I saw the father he has always been, the one who would do anything for his little girl. And I knew, despite everything, that we would get through this. I am angry at him. I would be lying if I said I was not. He made a choice, leaving our daughter alone with someone he barely knew. And that choice had consequences that will ripple through Lily's life for years. But I am also trying, every day, to remember that Tyler did not do this. Miranda did. Tyler made a mistake born of trust and exhaustion, and that is not the same as malice. He is suffering enough without me adding to it. My parents have been incredible. My mother has taken over many of the logistics, coordinating with the attorney, scheduling therapy appointments, managing the paperwork that comes with filing police reports and protective orders. My father has been the quiet, steady presence that holds everything together. He makes breakfast every morning and packs Lily's lunch for daycare and reads to her every night before bed. They never asked for any of this, and they have given everything. My own healing is complicated. Some nights I lie in bed and replay every decision I made, searching for the moment where I could have changed the outcome. Could I have pushed harder against Miranda's involvement? Could I have insisted on meeting her more than once? Could I have demanded that Tyler never leave Lily alone with her? But that kind of thinking is a trap. It is a spiral that leads nowhere except to a darker, more hopeless version of the present. My therapist, yes, I started seeing one too, tells me that guilt is only useful if it leads to change. And the change has already happened. Lily will never be alone with anyone we do not completely trust ever again. That is the lesson. That is the change. The guilt can go now. I do not know how this story ends. The legal process is ongoing. Lily's recovery is ongoing. Tyler's healing is ongoing. My own healing, which I keep putting at the bottom of the list because there are so many other people who need me right now, is barely underway. Some days I feel strong. Most days I feel like I am held together by caffeine, stubbornness, and the knowledge that my daughter needs me to keep moving forward. If you are a parent, please hear me when I say this. Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Do not dismiss the quiet warnings that your gut sends you. Do not let politeness or conflict avoidance or the desire to be a cool, easygoing co-parent override the alarm bells ringing in your head. I ignored mine, and I will carry that guilt for the rest of my life. If you know a child who is suddenly withdrawn, who flinches at touch, who has unexplained injuries, please do not look away. Please do not assume there is an innocent explanation. Take them to a doctor. Ask questions. Make the uncomfortable phone calls. Because the cost of being wrong, of raising a false alarm, is infinitely less than the cost of staying silent when a child needs help. Lily is going to be okay. I have to believe that. I have to hold on to that like a lifeline, because the alternative is a darkness I cannot afford to fall into. She is resilient and brave and so loved. And every day, in small ways, she is coming back to us. A giggle here, a spontaneous hug there, a moment of pure, uncomplicated joy when she sees a butterfly or hears her favorite song. Last Tuesday, something happened that gave me more hope than anything else in these dark weeks. Lily was sitting at the kitchen table, drawing with crayons, and she looked up at me with those big blue eyes and said "Mama" in the clearest voice I had heard from her in a month. Not a whisper, not a hesitant mumble. A full, bright, unmistakable mama. And then she held up her drawing. A picture of two stick figures with enormous heads and tiny bodies, standing in what appeared to be a field of yellow flowers. "Me and you," she said, pointing at the figures. My mother was standing behind me at the stove, and I heard her inhale sharply. I crouched down beside Lily and told her it was the most beautiful picture I had ever seen, and I meant it with every atom of my being. She is still in there. My baby girl with the sunshine hair and the freckles on her nose is still in there. She is just learning how to trust the world again, and we are going to be right beside her every step of the way. Thank you for listening to this story. I know it was hard to hear. Believe me, it was even harder to tell. But some stories need to be told, even when they hurt. But if it helps even one person recognize the signs, if it convinces even one parent to trust their instincts, if it reminds even one person that protecting children is more important than keeping the peace, then sharing it was worth the pain. If you or someone you know suspects a child is being abused, please contact authorities immediately. Do not wait. Do not second-guess yourself. A child cannot advocate for themselves. They need you to be their voice, their shield, their protector. Be brave enough to make that call. You might just save a life. Subscribe for more stories.